Yes. 30-second countdown, my.
Yeah.
Puja. Oh, I like BJ King's picture. I should put on a background.
Yes. Welcome to Multimedia Magicians. My name is Abhijit. Before you proceed, everyone, please mute your mics and keep your cameras on. Let me introduce our Toastmaster for today, Kenneth Lakashman. Kenneth, it's all you.
Thank you, Abhijit. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. It looks like we have a few guests in the audience. Alita, it looks like you're joining us. Do I have any other guests, just so I know? Heather's also a guest. Okay. So we are going to be starting our evening with some lightning slides, which are very similar to table topics, which you may have done at some other sessions. Pooja, I'm going to ask if you can make sure you call in our guests during the lightning slides. We're also going to be having 2 prepared speeches tonight, and we will be doing a general round robin during the prepared speeches. So I'm going to go ahead and have us get started on our lightning slides. Pooja, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Multimedia Magicians. For the benefit of our guests, I'm going to give you a bit of a background. For lightning slides, we will give you a visual cue, and you have to say something for 30 seconds about the thing on the screen. And you'll see a little 30-second timer at the bottom, so you know when you need to, how long you need to speak. And today's game, let me share my screen. So we're going to play a little game that we used to play in design school. And this is a creative thinking game. I'm going to show you images of things which are everyday objects. And you have to talk about something else that you can do with that object. Think on your feet, be creative, think out of the box. So just let me get my screen set up because I can't see everyone at this point. Okay, well, we just have to go with that. So I will start off with Dennis.
What else could I do with this nose cleaning device? Of course, you heat up some nice hot water or whatever you'd like. You pour it in one nostril and you shoot it out the other. In one and shoot it out. In one and shoot it out. But I understand that in England, get this because they're crazy over there. In England, they'll put little leaves in there, add hot water, let it sit for a while, and then they pour the dirty water from the leaves into a cup and they sip it and they think that they're all fancy. It's crazy what people do in this world.
Heather.
This is my favorite mechanism for tying my shoes. It's much easier than anything I've found, really. It doesn't require use of my fingers per se. Instead, I use these long skinny things at the end of this apparatus. And I typically end up with a very nice sculpture on top of my shoe, and it is a wonderful conversation starter. And I
Hey, go agent. On the other line, it's a fake concept. We about to shake it, bitch. Frost the flick on the wrist. The game plan.
Is that the way that we end typically here?
No, I believe that was someone bombing our Zoom.
Okay.
But we will continue with this. And I would like to call on Anita.
Now, you might think this is an ordinary office chair. My 30 seconds are not going down. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It looks like an ordinary office chair, but it ain't so. You can flip that over and use it. Put the flat part down and have the 4 pieces sticking up in the air, and you can use that to hang your clothes on each one of those 4 legs. It makes a great hanging place to hang your clothes, especially when you come home late at night and you trip over it. When it flips over, right there are your hanging apparatus. Thank you.
Good one. Thank you. Abhijit,
I remember it was the time in India, and I went to this park, and there was this giant shoe, and it was the best place to play hide and seek. I found a place in the corner where no one could find me. It was very hard to get in. I had to find a ladder, and somehow I managed to just steal the ladder and get to near that shoe and then finally climb it and get to the very end of it. It didn't have the best of the smells, but somehow I managed to be the last person to be get caught that day.
thank you, Abhijit. BJ King, we cannot hear you.
That is a wonderful device that can be used for a whole bunch of things, such as pulling the gray out of your brow. And let's see, what else can it be used for? It can be used to pick up things that are really tiny. For instance, some jewelry is really tiny and you can use that to pick that up. You can use it for just about anything. And it's a great device, whoever invented it.
Fabulous. Nora, do we have Nora? Okay. Abhijit, can I ask for your help to call out some names because my screen is not
Yes,
showing me
Wendy,
anymore.
Wendy.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't figure out what I thought was pre-prepared. But anyhow, thank you, Abhijit. This is a comb, obviously. It's also my best friend. And we all know in the morning we comb our hair, right? But let me share with you a trick, long-lasting Chinese rituals. I have many of them. As I get aged, I add more of them. So at night, I comb my hair for 5 minutes because that was going to activate all the points on my head, make me smarter and long-lived, but also, of course, give me silky smooth hair. So my hair just a compliment to me. In spite of I'm getting old, my hair gets drier, but I still have nice hair, thanks to this comb. Back to you, Albert.
Ramesh?
What I see here is a plug. This is no ordinary plug. You need to be plugged in, is what I infer from here. Whether you're doing something at work, at personal life, or in social situation, you need to be plugged in. That's exactly what this represents. Because if you're not plugged in, there is no electricity. It is dark. Just now, you saw something that was dark. That's exactly what happens.
Thank you so much.
Anita?
This is what you might appear to think to be a lamp, but I want you to know that is a very, very important item for low heat transference. You may turn on this light that is inside
the fixture, and after a few minutes, it will warm up. So in the winter, when it gets cold, or if your hands tend to be cold, you can take your hands and warm them around the frame of it. It's wonderful.
Fabulous.
Dipti.
This is a car, but okay, this is really difficult. It's something that you can use to perhaps, so I'm into gardening, and when I have smaller seedlings and I need to protect them from direct rain, I can put them under, slide them under the car, and they can get protected from the direct rainfall or too harsh sun. So this can also act as a cover for your smaller seedlings, perhaps. And it's a good hiding spot for my pet. Whenever, or the cats that he's chasing, if they get under the car, then he's not able to access them. So that's a savior for the cats of the community, the stray cats. So, yeah.
Thank you, Dipti. Great thinking about our pets. And here's the last one.
Linda.
Thank you, Abjad. This is normally the bag, handbag, right? But what else can I do? Not only in the daily life, I can purchase the items, the package, the food, everything is inside. And also, I think I can put lots of the recycle the items. I want to the environment is much better. And purchase a lots of the, not only practice, I put some paper or some anything else. Yeah, thank you. I will do recycle for every time, many times. Thank you. Welcome back.
Great way to end with a social message to all of us. Thank you for participating, all of you, and for your creative ideas. Back to you, Kenneth.
Thank you, Pooja. So we are now going to transition into our prepared speeches. I will remind everyone at this time that it will be a round robin evaluation. I also wanted to make a request for those who are in the meeting that if you can stay camera on, it does help our speakers and would really appreciate that. So let me introduce our first speaker for the evening. Michael Carroll will be giving us a speech called Uncertainty in Life. It will be an 8 to 10 minute speech on his Mastery Path Level 3. The challenge in this case is to use a PowerPoint to use as a virtual background. Michael will be drawing on his degree in biochemistry and his background in life sciences to describe the controversy that is surrounding many of the upcoming Roe v. Wade decision and the history going there. So Michael, over to you.
Good evening, Toastmasters. I am sure that you have seen it on the news. People shouting at each other, waving signs. And I'm not talking about the recent school massacre. I'm talking about the apparent, impending overturn of the decision of Roe versus Wade. This decision said that women had the sole decision, the sole choice as to whether or not to carry their pregnancy to term. Why all the shouting? Well, it's because it has to do with the religious position, Roman Catholic Church, and believed by many, that life starts at conception. And if life starts at conception, then terminating a pregnancy is terminating a human life, and there is no more important issue than this. So the question is, when does life start? Religious position aside, when does life start? Let's go to the American Medical Association and put in their website, Start of Life. What do we find? One result. And it has to do with medical insurance, not the question of when does life start. Okay, this is an ethical question. Let's talk to the AMA Journal of Ethics. We'll put in start of life, no results. No results. What is up with that? Okay, no help from the medical community about when life starts. If we know what life is, maybe we can figure it out for itself. So let's find the definition of life. Definition of life. If you look up Webster's or your child's biology text from high school, look up the definition of life, you do not find a definition of life. What you find is a list of characteristics. That if something meets these characteristics, then you can say that that thing is a living thing. And the characteristics are, if you take from the environment and give off waste, like we breathe, we eat, we excrete. And based on that, if we maintain ourselves and grow, depending on our time of life, and depending on the time of life, we might procreate. Something which does these things, you can categorize as being a living thing. Is that all it is? A category? What about the spark of life? What about our belief that life is something which arrives and then leaves? It is supported by, but separate from, the thing which is living. This is what we want. This is what we're looking for. Why don't we find this? It's apparently not in the medical. What is life really? That we can find when it starts, if we know what it is and where it is. Where is life? Is it in our organs? Would we say that any one of these organs is alive, on a living thing on its own? No. Would we say that life is here? Any of them are alive on their own? No. Some might not be certain, but generally, no. How about the tissues? The tissues of those organs, are they alive on their own? Are they living things? Not on their own, no. Is there life there? Some would say yes. Most would say no, but some would not be certain. Now, how about this? Let's chase this spark of life thing. Let's see if it's in the cells of these organs and tissues. The cell of the human body, supported like all of the other cells. We breathe, we eat, the heart pumps, delivers oxygen, delivers food. Would we say that this is a separate living thing? No. Would we say there's life here? Some would say yes. Some would say no. Some would not be certain. However, we're chasing this spark of life, this separate life thing. Let's look deep inside this cell, deep inside. What do we find? Chemical reactions. We find the oxygen coming in, the food coming in, and here the oxygen combines with food, gives off carbon dioxide, and here we make energy chemicals. This is adenosine triphosphate, for those who must know. And these energy chemicals allow the heart to pump, the intestines to digest, the lungs to breathe, and lung cells to grow and live. Energy chemicals. Would you say that this chemical is alive? No. Is this life? Some would say yes, because this is where it happens. If this ceases, life terminates. And all of this is made possible by the instructions encoded in DNA. DNA. Would we say that this DNA is alive? No. Would we say it's a separate living thing? No. It's supported with a cell and all of the other cells. Every cell is supported by the body. Every cell has got double-stranded DNA, except the egg and the sperm. Egg and the sperm, they've got only a single strand of DNA. But when egg meets sperm, the strand of DNA from the sperm is transferred into the egg, and now that cell, like every other cell in the human body, has got two strands of DNA. Do we say that this strand is alive because half of it comes from somebody else? Some would say yes. Some would say no. Do we say it's a living thing on its own? Doesn't meet the criteria. How about the cell now, which has this DNA? This cell, do we say that this is a separate life because half of its DNA comes from somebody else? Some would say yes, because that's what conception is. DNA from one comes with DNA of another, they join, double strand, that's it. Does life start here? That is the question. It is uncertain. Many people believe deep in their heart that it does. It's a religious position, but it's not universally held. Certain tenets in Islam believe that the immortal soul arrives at 4 months. Medical professionals, the time of viability, when possibly the fetus could live outside the uterus, 6 months. And if all goes well, birth at 12 months. And at 12 months, at birth, when you cut the umbilical cord and the baby takes its first breath, then we are certain. Then we are certain that this is a living thing. This baby is breathing in oxygen. It is drinking from its mother's milk. Its intestines are digesting, and it is sending these things, the oxygen and the food, out to its organs, and it is supporting itself, and it will grow, and it will maintain itself, and eventually, maybe, it will have kids on its own, procreate, qualifies, meets those criteria. At first breath, we are certain. Until then, there is a basis for uncertainty. We could say easily, life begins at first breath. But there is an uncertainty as to when life starts, what it is, when it is, where it is. And if we could understand this uncertainty, this basis for uncertainty, then perhaps we would not shout so loudly. Perhaps those people standing by the sidewalk in front of that clinic in Walnut Creek would not shout, "Murderer, murderer," to women going in for a legal procedure. Perhaps they would not shout quite so loud because of this uncertainty. But what is absolutely certain is that none of these people are going to have to deal with the result of a pregnancy unwanted carried to term. That is certain. It is certain that none of these people, and no sitting member of the Supreme Court, are going to have to deal with the consequences of an unwanted pregnancy carried to term, providing food, clothing, shelter, encouragement, compassion, education, medical insurance for 18 years, 20 years, 25 years. That is certain, that none of these people are going to have to deal with the result of that decision. And because of that certainty, I am certain that if these people do not have to deal with the result of that decision, then it is not their decision to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. In our round robin session, I'm going to ask for our participants to try to keep their feedback to the duration of about 1 minute. I will start by asking if Ramesh might be interested in providing some feedback.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and Mike. I really loved the topic. I think there was a thorough research done. I love the research part, and I love the visuals that was provided in this that really help illustrate the key points. I really figured how the PowerPoint can be used as a background. That was very eye-opening for me. So this is a very well delivered speech. If there is anything that you would like to improve, I would say put more oomph, energy, more connecting with audience. It looked more like a lecture to the folks. So if you can keep that in mind, that would be great. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ramesh. Ravi, how about you go next?
Thank you so much. Mike, this is a wonderful speech. From the time you started, I was wondering which position are you going to take? How are you going to conclude this? And I really like how you took us through the entire process. The really wonderful things that I saw are the slides, your motion, your pictures, and your humor. It's really hard to have a humor in such a content, but you nailed it. It was wonderfully done. Now, few improvements is, I think the humor is there, but if the words that you use are also a little bit humorous, the humor will pop even better. For example, for you, your strategy of using the humor is mostly on the points, mostly on the story and the content, not on the words. So I would encourage you to add humorous words as well when you're telling the humorous part of it. It is really wonderful. And that is only the feedback that I have. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. I would like to call on Wendy next for feedback.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Hi, Mike. I really enjoyed your speech. I always appreciate people who can take a stand. So I applaud you for that. Of course, you scored the biggest point because your visual presentation is amazing, impeccable. Actually, I would love to know how you made it and all the words, the picture, everything worked on me and comprehend your speech. And also as a chemist who took many biochemistry courses, I really appreciate you methodically breaking down life into molecular level reaction, which really sounds amazing. And the picture is also very clear. I think if I could give one suggestion as a female, I'm kind of in the middle. We care about our body. I would like to add some emotional because our humans are not necessarily always rational. Add the emotional. Argue from pro-life, it's life, it's your blood and flesh and love and the entire future. But as a woman, I care about my body, my choice. So I don't know if you could take opposite view and even reconcile that. I think it might make your speech more powerful. I'm not sure how much time I used, but thank you very much. I appreciate your courage and also the demonstration of the visual presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. BJ, could I have you provide our final feedback for the evening to Mike?
Yes, I would love to. Mike, I really enjoyed your talk. And the one thing that was, excuse me, really amazing to me was when you had the DNA and you just had the one strand and then you reached over and brought the other strand in. I thought that was really, really great. Life begins at the first kick. It is my understanding of life. And that could be at 2 months, it could be at 4 months or whatever. But I really believe that, and I liked your ending too, that looking at all the people who are making so much noise about it, and they're never going to do anything. They're not involved, but they're just because somebody told them that this was not right, then they just go with it instead of being curious and look around and see what they could come up with. Is what is the truth? But I just tell you, life begins at that first kick, and then it never stops. So great job. Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you for asking.
Thank you, BJ. So we are going to be transitioning to our next prepared speech, which will be conducted by Dennis Dawson. Dennis is going to be taking us through his level 4 project 2 question and answer with his speech, Dennis Does Doodling. I hope you'll all join me in giving a warm welcome to Dennis Dawson as he gives us his speech, Dennis Does Doodling. Over to you, Dennis.
Toastmasters is a self-education organization where members work on communication and leadership skills. While we all share a common set of goals, the reasons we come to Toastmasters are as varied as the members themselves. Let me briefly share the reason I joined and have stayed with Toastmasters for over a decade. Let me take you back to a dark time. It was 2003. I was a principal technical writer at Oracle in beautiful Redwood Shores. After years of unfettered, unregulated growth, the tech bubble burst. I was one of the first people affected. I was out of work for a year. I finally found a job that I actually liked, writing questions for standardized high school exams. Unfortunately, it paid half of what I'd been making before. Then, my former manager from Oracle threw me a lifeline. I joined her team at EMC, back in the technical writing trade. I dove into the work enthusiastically. I was happy to be back working in my real element. I spent the next couple of years nose down, documenting SDKs and APIs. The office was relatively quiet, with few distractions. About 10 feet from my desk was a large conference room. Every Tuesday at noon, there was a different sort of meeting there, unlike the others throughout the week. I could hear people laughing. Every few minutes there was raucous applause. Then afterward, people walked out smiling. It was uncanny. I wondered who they were. I wondered how I could get onto their project, whatever it was. Then one day I saw a flyer in the break room. It was an invitation to a Toastmasters open house meeting. On the flyer were the two sweetest words in the English language, any language really: free pizza. I can't resist my favorite kind of food, free. I know you'll want to know the pizza was good, 6 varieties, including barbecue chicken. While I tried one slice of each, I listened to an interesting speaker. He talked about how Toastmasters had helped him to improve his public speaking and the practical advantages he'd gained by becoming a member. Guests were then invited to participate in table topics, a round of impromptu speeches. I've never been afraid of public speaking. I volunteered right away. I was asked how Toastmasters might change my life. As I was answering the question, I choked up a little. I realized I had been stuck in my cubicle trying to look busy. I didn't know my coworkers. I wasn't having any fun. I was working, going home, coming back to work day after day. I joined Toastmasters and everything changed. I got to know managers and interns, salespeople and engineers, young people and seasoned veterans. These are people I only peripherally interacted with before, but became good friends and peers in Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, we learn by giving prepared speeches that focus on development and delivery. Every speech is evaluated for what went well and what could be better. We also do the table topics, impromptu speeches, where we respond for 1 to 2 minutes. I gained a reputation within EMC for my public speaking ability. I was chosen to represent the company at international conferences. I later traveled to Paris, Jerusalem, Milan, London, and Amsterdam, training remote employees on the iterative development process. Eventually, my department was laid off, and I had to search for a job all over again. Now, though, with my table topics training, I find myself breezing through job interviews. I don't always get an offer, but the interviews themselves always go well. I found roles at VMware, Cloudera, OmniSci, and now Autodesk. The skills I learned in Toastmasters have informed and improved my professional capabilities enormously. It would be selfish of me to join Autodesk and not share this program with everyone. So I want us to charter a new Toastmasters chapter here at Autodesk by the end of July. How about you? Are you ready to take your speaking and leadership skills to the next level? Do you want to gain more confidence and the ability to persuade others? Are you ready to make those changes now? Join Toastmasters of ADSK to learn more about how you can put the Toastmasters program to work for you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Oh.
We're going to do another round of round robin feedback.
No.
You have more to say. Oh, it's question and answer. My apologies, Dennis.
Silly person, thank you for enjoying my little video there. Now that video was done with a program called Doodly. So this is proof that I have done Diddly with Doodly, and I would like to show you how little effort it takes to do something really cool with a very cool program. So let me get rid of that screen, and I will share the Doodly program with all of you. Doodly, there it is. All right, now I bought this for a very specific reason. I was making these whiteboard videos that you see. You see them all the time, every place. I was doing it by standing at a whiteboard and drawing on the whiteboard. And if I made a mistake, it was really rough to go back and edit it. I saw this Doodly program. It was offered for $64, lifetime membership. I jumped at it. It's exactly the kind of program that I want to use. Now, I happen to enjoy making these terrible sketches here. My terrible sketches look much better when they're done with Doodly. That's all I can say. Don't be afraid of this program if you don't think that you draw very well. If you're really just completely frightened of drawing in public, that's fine. The program comes with all kinds of built-in stuff. So I can create a new video here. You have a choice between, and I hope you're seeing this, it could be a whiteboard, it could be a chalkboard, it could be a green board or a glass board, any of these typical things that you would see in a presentation environment. I'm going to go with the whiteboard. You start by selecting a background if you'd like. Let's go to the beach. There we go. And let's see what that would look like if I were to turn it into a video right now. I can immediately preview. Obviously, it's not as smooth in this rendered version as it is in the final version. But each element of the picture is drawn individually. These are all things that you can select and move around. But as you can see, I've got a nice beach scene instantly without doing any work at all. So that's a background. I can come over here and select characters. We'll slide down. Again, I use it for my pictures mostly, but I can grab any of these people. We've got Adam on the telephone. Let's have him ruining everyone's day at the beach. I'll just drag him out here. And I can add any elements that I want. If I don't want the silly ship back here, I can remove it. Or I thought I could. Forget it, we'll leave the ship. Okay, so I've got Adam as part of my picture. Oh, maybe it's just working a little slow. It's a little slow. Okay, I can delete it. There we go. Okay, so I deleted something else. That's fine. Now, here's our Adam on the telephone. I'm going to preview again, but I don't want to wait for it to go the whole 30 seconds. So you see down here at the bottom, I can reduce the time. Sometimes I'll do this just while I'm in production, and then I can always choose to put the full length of time when I'm finished with the presentation. So it's now down to 10 seconds. I can preview just to see how everything draws really quickly. Did I cut off Adam? Okay. All right. So this is how it works out of the box. And they've got a whole library of men, women, children of different races. You've got policemen and firemen, you have priests, you've got any of the kind of people you would want to use. There's a whole library of props that you can introduce into your animations. And once again, any of these things, you just drag them in. If you put it over an existing part of the picture, it will erase that part of the picture and then draw your new shape in there so that it always looks natural, like a whiteboard drawing. Now, this is absolutely terrific if you're the kind of person who wants to use the canned drawings. I encourage you to do it. There's no shame in it. But this is not what I bought this program to do. What I bought it for was to do my own drawings in here. So I'm going to create a new video. Now, I can't create backgrounds, but I can create characters. And if my character happens to be an entire background, then I can use it as a background, you see. So I've got this demo face for Doodly that I loaded in earlier, just as something that I can play with for you here. So I have the picture, and what I'll want to do is trace over it by creating a path. So I start by placing my first dot, and then I just drag this red line all around. Now, every time I click and set a dot, I'm saying this is one segment of the entire animation. Every segment gets an equal amount of time. So the more dots that I put in there, the more smooth the animation is going to be, because there will be more steps in the drawing. If I space them out really far apart, it will draw quickly, but it's going to draw in big chunks. So this is probably a comfortable pace. I draw all the way around. To get the rest of the face in there, I'm going to start a new path now. Now, I purposely gave myself a nice wide path so that I can be sure to get the entire line in there. But if you've got a very intricate drawing, you can go with the smaller path and do it just a tiny bit at a time. I'll add a new path for the nose. And a new path for the mouth. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner, it shows me how the animation is going to look based on the work I've done so far. All right, so I've got the lines laid out the way I want them. I can go ahead and save that and return. And just as I did before, I can preview my new animation. That's pretty fast. Let's see if I can stretch that out for about 10 seconds. There we have it. That looks fine to me. I can export now as an MP4 movie. It goes out and edit, and I'll be able to move that video into any other editing application, or use it as a Zoom background, which is what I actually did with my How I Became a Toastmaster speech. And it will keep doing that, and it'll eventually turn into a video and everybody will be happy. All right. What can you do with this? I'll show you one more example. That I hope some of you have already seen.
Hi, I'm Dennis Dawson. COVID was disruptive to our Toastmasters world. It changed how we meet. Before the pandemic, a community was people in close proximity. Neighbors came together to form a club. But online, we can have members from all over the world. A community is no longer based on location, but on shared interests. Online speeches present their own challenges and opportunities. Effective online communication skills will remain important in business and social interaction in our new normal. To celebrate and build these skills, we're forming a new Advanced Toastmasters Community Club to explore multimedia. We'll feature workshops about effective online presentations, practice those skills to receive honest, constructive, round-robin feedback from the club, and enjoy speeches about film, television, radio, podcast, and video history and production techniques. What's the name of the club? We don't know. We'll choose a name and meeting time at our demonstration meeting at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, September 14th. Please join us by following the link below. I'll see you then.
I do, but stop.
A fact-dissolving loophole.
And at this point, if there are any questions about the program, I'm happy to take them. How do you overlay your voice along with the drawing? I did that in another video editing program, but it does have a sound sync. It also has sound effects that you can drag into your pictures. So it does support the use of sound. Again, since I am a multimedia Toastmaster, I do like to pull it into a better video editing software and just use it as a source. Heather, you had a question.
Thank you, Dennis. I really enjoyed that. It was so well done and so informative. I'm very excited about this program. And I'm curious, do you export the entire video and then put it into Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
And once again, what I do is I'll edit the video precisely. And then, yes, I can use it as a Zoom background. It's also great with OBS to be able to insert myself and move myself around on the screen while I'm interacting with the video. And it's nice to be very well rehearsed with the script so that when the tech bubble burst, for example, I was able to go, and the tech bubble burst, and that's when the animation shows up. So a little extra preparation lets you coordinate your own movements very effectively.
Great. One more question. What was the best training resource you found regarding how to use Doodly and Zoom together?
Well, as far as Doodly and Zoom together, I don't know that there's any particular resource for that other than going to the Zoom site and finding out from them how you incorporate video. So I create the Doodly video. That's a separate activity entirely from using the video as a background within Zoom.
Great. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Dennis, how long does it take to make a 5-minute video of this nature?
How long does it take to make a 5-minute video? Well,
yeah, I mean production time.
My goal is to always change the picture every 20 seconds. So 3 pictures a minute. How long did it take me to make that particular video? I would say that 5-minute video took me about a day, about 8 hours to draw all the pictures, capture them and bring them into the program, trace over the lines, because I was careful to actually, instead of kind of dashing it out, you can in fact bring in your own pictures and it will go and just kind of wipe it on. You don't have to do the path that I was doing at all. But if you want it to look as if you're actually very carefully drawing the picture all the way around, then that path You have to go over every line with several dots individually, and that can take longer. So it is nice, in fact, that you've got that flexibility to either do something that just sort of knocks it out, or you can be very precise with it and get a really nice effect with the drawing.
Yeah. Is the program still around $64 or has it escalated?
I'm glad you asked. If you just go in and buy it any old time, it's $69 a month. Okay, it's really expensive. I think it might be $39 a month for the home edition and $69 for the enterprise. But every now and again, you will see them advertise at $64 lifetime subscription. And this comes up every 3 to 5 months. I'll see it up on Facebook. So just watch for it that way. You might also, you can contact the company and say, when is the next time you're going to have this deal? Because I'm pretty sure they'll give you the deal any old time if you ask for it.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Did Ravi have a question?
Hey, Dennis, wonderful presentation. How can I draw the cartoon of a known character, for example, Donald Trump, easily?
How can you easily draw a caricature? One of the easiest ways to do it is to take a picture, a photograph of him, put a piece of tracing paper over it, and just trace it. Just get the main lines in there. It's actually easier than you think. It might take you 2 or 3 tries to get it the way you like it. But remember that if people can tell it's Donald Trump, that's good enough. You'll see lots of cartoons of Donald Trump out there, and none of them look exactly like him, and none of them look the same, but we all know who it is. You just have to get that big comb over going and the long tie, and we'll fill in the rest ourselves. The trick is, you notice I do not draw very well, but I draw well enough to draw with kids. I do. I actually teach drawing at some of the local schools. It's I always take solace in the idea that even though I'm not the best artist in the world, today I'm a better artist than most of the people because they didn't draw anything at all.
Thank you.
Yeah, Wendy.
Hi, Dennis. I just have a quick question. I've seen these cool videos before on YouTube, and today it's like magic. Today you're revealing the magic. So it's so surreal for me to hear about this, and I really love this topic. The only question, I think sort of combination previous people asked already, but I just want to ask, for people who have no artistic muscle like me, should I just stay away? Or because you still have to produce all those drawings, right? These are your drawings, original drawings.
No, as I showed you at the beginning, they have all kinds of pictures already in there, and they're already traced, so that all of the careful path that you saw me create for the face, already done. And if you give it plenty of time, it will be a very smooth drawing of those nice, bland illustrations that you'll see on pretty much any presentation. So no, I would not stay away from the program if you don't think you can draw. You can just use the built-in art. And they always try to upsell you. So you get a really nice set when you buy the basic edition, but you can buy additional packs that will just, they've got everything at this point that you can imagine that you would ever need in one of your presentations. They've got the zoo animal pack. They've got the office pack that's got all of the office equipment in it. So you're able to get the artwork that you need.
So basically it's copy paste?
The artwork, it's
copy drag, copy paste?
Yeah, drag and drop.
You, by the way, you have a marvelous storytelling voice. I absolutely love listening to you.
Well, yeah, you know, I have this theory that I call it the marionette theory. If you go to a puppet show and somebody is really great at moving the marionette and it's just a beautiful, amazing performance, then the next guy comes out there and he can't move the puppet very well, but he can really tell a joke. which of the two is going to be more entertaining?
The joke.
Yeah, the one who can tell a joke. So you can have a fancy program like this, but if you don't give a good Toastmaster speech, then all you've got is a fancy background and a boring speech. So the speech has to come first.
Thank you.
I think that's all the time we have, and we're going to transition over to feedback. I'll ask if there are any volunteers to give Dennis Dawson feedback on his presentation.
Hi, this is Mira. I would like to go ahead.
Go right ahead.
Dennis, you're a great speaker and evaluator. It's very hard to find things to suggest, improve, but I found something and I want to share it. When you said the tech bubble burst, and right after you were looking for jobs, it would be great if you order the words this way. The image showed the building EMC throwing a lifeline, and you were able to grab it. But the words, in the order of the words, EMC came later. So if you keep the word EMC later to appear over the building, that will be very impactful. Imagine we are looking at Dennis who's struggling, trying to float, not to drown, and then EMC words appears and it throws a lifeline. Other than that, your speech was amazing. I learned a ton. I have a friend who's joining from Kansas City. I'm so proud that she's able to see these amazing presentations from you and Mike Carroll. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have another volunteer for feedback?
Okay, I'll go with it. Dennis, I really enjoyed it. Being also doing video work, I understand the time that it goes into it. But you make it sound so natural and so easy that you make us want to go and delve in it. Even though you said 5 minutes takes a full day, but you got to have a passion for that to do that, because not many people like to spend that much time on it. And if you've got a donkey computer like I have, that it hangs sometimes because it's too much video work. But really, I enjoy listening to you, and you have such a captivating voice. I can't see any improvement. I was captivated by your presentation. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. I think we are going to move on to our general evaluation portion of the meeting. Chi, if you want to go ahead and give your report.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster. Wow, what a impactful meeting that we had. I learned so much from both of the speakers as well as from the round robin evaluators. I felt that tonight's meeting really embodied what this club is about. The sharing of the technology, show and tell, and doing that in a Toastmasters context was very powerful. We're running into time, so I will turn the control of the meeting over to our club president, Pooja.
Thank you, Chie, and thank you to each and every single one of you. This was an ideal meeting. We saw some fabulous work of multimedia. We learned how to do some new tricks. So thank you to speakers. Thank you to all of our evaluators for making every single speech better with your inputs. And thank you to you, each of you who attended, because without you, we cannot have this club. I hope today you got some value out of the time that you spent here, and that all of our guests took something home, would be interested in joining our club. If you're interested, please reach out to Abhijit, Kenneth, Chie, me, anyone here. I would like to ask our guests for some feedback about what they felt this meeting was like for them and what if they have any inputs on what we can do better. But before I move on to that section, I just have an announcement for all of our members.